Welcome to the Be Real Podcast with your hosts, Bobby Maximus and Joe Cebula. And Joe, I am just sick and tired. You know me, I go on these rants sometimes. Every single person out there, no matter how many times I tell them that the secret is just to be consistent, that the secret is to just show up every single day, they can't believe it. They're out there looking for hacks, looking for shortcuts, looking for 3 easy payments of $9.99, calling me a liar because I don't, tell them my whole workout program or my whole nutrition program. It's like people have a mental disease or a mental disorder or a mental block or something going on that they just are incapable of believing it's as easy as consistency. And I just want to spend 30 minutes yelling at people, ranting, calling them lazy, calling them fat. Like, I just don't get how people don't understand how simple it is.
Well, I'll even go from the other angle and say that there's just as many people out there who think they know what they're talking about who will disagree. It isn't that simple. I should know because I've done this training program. But these are like 20-year-old kids with like no experience, no background, no real understanding of what it's like to train people. Comments we get on social media are always like, oh, you can't train every day. It's like you didn't even read the whole post. You didn't even take anything into context. Or my favorite thing is I'll post a snippet from this podcast. When you say something that's a little bit edgy, get somebody's attention, and then they just jump on it like you're speaking Bible truths here, and it's completely out of context. They absolutely refuse to go any deeper than a surface level.
But the irony of what you just said, and I know I've been talking about this a lot, but we go to the Cottonwood pool every week. It's a pool by my house. That 20-year-old that you just referenced, that's the person that works out every day. That's the person that, to a degree, watches what they put in their mouth. So I'm going to paint a picture for you, Joe. We went to the pool on Father's Day. There's probably, I'm going to say 300 people there. 200 people there, 250 people there. Like, I am really bad at judging the size of crowds at like a pool like this because it is a big facility. There's water slides for the kids, like the whole deal. But there's a couple of hundred people there. You feel me? The only people that looked like they trained in any way, shape, or form were me, my wife, my 15-year-old, my buddy Ryan, who's an ex-NFL player who trains at the gym, and then there was like maybe 10 to 15 kids, guys that were 20 years old that were shredded out of their mind.
Bobby, when I was 20 years old, I was shredded out of my mind, too. And it wasn't because of my training program.
You are about to prove my point, Joe. Guess what you were doing when you were 20 years old? Remind me, when you were at the College State of Iowa, the University of Iowa, the
All right,
Iowa
okay, so I'm a bad example. I was training for Taekwondo Nationals. I was very dedicated to my sport.
Okay, so tell me what you were doing. You were being what, Joe? What's the word I'm looking for? You were being what?
I don't know what word you're looking for, but I will tell you, I was very much watching what I ate, and I trained. I was an animal.
How about this? You were consistent AF.
Very, yeah.
Is that
very
good for
consistent.
You? Like, let's break this down because these 20-year-olds I saw at the pool that are shredded out of their minds. This is you when you were 20. What did your average week look like? Take me through a Monday to Sunday. When you were 20 years old, what did that Monday to Sunday look like?
Again, not the average, okay? This is definitely like on the higher end, but I mean, I was training, at least training 3 hard hours a day, plus going to the gym. So there was all the martial arts training. We had conditioning workouts in the morning. I had practices that I went to that involved like all the sparring, the technique stuff. We had all the traditional Taekwondo stuff we were still doing. And then we would go lift weights for 45 minutes to an hour at the end of that. And that was Monday through Friday. Saturday, we would just go to like a sparring practice for an hour.
Okay. But you were, so what I'm hearing is you were like hitting it 6 out of 7 days a week.
At least, yeah.
Okay. Now these 20-year-olds at the pool, I don't know what they're doing, but they ain't looking like that sitting on the couch watching Netflix. And I have seen at my jiu-jitsu school, I have seen numerous 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 21-year-olds come through the doors. Some are in really good shape. I'd say excellent shape, Joe. Some are really out of shape. But when you see somebody who's 19 years old, who's got a six-pack, who's got those lines in their pecs, who's got the little capped shoulders, who's got the veins, my guess is they're in the weight room every single day. Would you agree with that?
I mean, when you're young like that, like the game is a little bit different. You know, if you're doing the like sitting on the couch watching Netflix, I think in your 20s you can be fine. You know, you go to the doctor for a physical and your blood pressure is going to be fine. Your cholesterol is going to be fine because
you're
you're
just
young.
talking fine now. I'm not talking fine.
Now, hang on. I think if you continue to do that beyond your 20s, it definitely catches up to you. So what I'm saying is I think the margin of error is a lot wider when you're a lot younger and your metabolism's through the roof and everything else. Now, that having been said, you're absolutely right. There's a big difference between, you know, a 20-year-old who's lean and a 20-year-old who's like looks good. And I will give you that. You cannot look good without effort.
I'm going to look for something for you right now just to paint this picture because you know the kid and you love him. I mean, I think you love him. He's a bit of an idiot, but, you know, we love him. Beans, if you're listening, I don't think you're an idiot. I'm proud of you, dude. Like, this will be like the one podcast he shows his friends because he's proud of his dad, and here I am just, like, giving him the business. You know what I mean, Joe?
It's almost better that way, though, you know? Keeps him humble.
I wish I could find it, but Beans is looking pretty shredded lately, Joe. But you know him, and while I pull out the picture so we don't leave the viewer like hanging, what have Beans' workout habits been? Actually, here we go. You ready for this, Joe?
All right. Yeah, there he is.
Look at that back.
Looks just like his old man.
Okay, you get a back like that from watching Netflix or doing some damn pull-ups.
Now, also, to be fair, if Beans really got what he wanted, that's probably what he would be doing. He's just, and again, credit to good parenting, credit to his dedication, because he knows that he can't get a back like that watching Netflix. This kid has been going to seminars and training and hanging out at gyms his whole life. So it is absolutely.
So again, what has he been?
He has been consistent. I feel like I lean into the mic, I mean, I'm in front of the subcommittee for the Senate. Here's my mic.
I like it.
He's being consistent, sir.
Yeah, but I mean, like here's another one with this little dude. You're gonna love this pic. This is my favorite. Hopefully, people are watching this on the YouTube. Like, little homie, look at him.
You know what's awesome is just the confidence in his face. It's worth everything right there.
Look at the vein in the shoulder. So if you can't see this, if you're listening to this, you're not watching this on YouTube, you're watching this on some other platform. This kid's shredded. He's got a six-pack. He's got veins in his shoulders. He's got back abs. He looks like he could step on stage right now. He's 15 years old. But you know what he's done, Joe? Every day, and I mean every day since he's been 2 years old, he has done some type of exercise. Now, before all the parent police come after me, I didn't have him on a formalized workout program, but he was going to jiu-jitsu 4 to 5 days a week, going to taekwondo 4 to 5 days a week. He's in the gym with me, and he's bored out of his tree while his dad works out for 3 hours. So he sets up a box and he jumps on it, and he goes and picks up a kettlebell, and he goes to deadlift a little bit. Like, I've never really had him. This is actually the first year, Joe, he's been on a formal program. And this may come as a shock to people. I'm not the guy that put him on the formal program. Like, he got into this when he played grade 9 football and grade 9 wrestling. Like being in the weight room is part of their program. So he started coming home and he's like, Dad, I'm on a program. What do you mean a program? So, well, they've got me doing chest on Monday. They have me doing legs and power cleans on Tuesday. They have me doing another leg workout on Wednesday. I'm like, why wouldn't you get a program for me? Like, do you know who I am? And we got a big heated verbal altercation over this. But this is the first year, Joe, kid's been on a program. Before that, it was showing up to a pretty high level taekwondo, Olympic taekwondo studio, showing up at pretty high level jiu-jitsu. And just, I'm going to say practicing weights in the gym with me. But if he's doing taekwondo 5 days a week, jiu-jitsu 4 days a week, and practicing weights 2 to 3 days a week, he's just being consistent. So my point to drive this home, When you see a 20-year-old that looks okay, that looks reasonable, that has a marginally better body than a dad bod, yeah, that's due to genetics. When you see a kid like this, they're being consistent. They're probably lifting weights at the minimum 5 days a week.
This brings a thought up to me, because I think like high school athletics has always been an area of contention for me, because I love sports. I mean, I was a 3-sport athlete in junior high and high school, and I love that. But there's this like real falling off. So when you talk about consistency, it's easy to get on like a freshman basketball team. It's easy to get on, like a JV tennis squad or whatever, where there's no cuts. When you get to higher and higher levels of competition, they start cutting you. But if you're in it, and especially if you're in it from a young age, then it is a lot easier to stay consistent, because like the school life, it's like you go to school every day. You don't really have a choice. And then after school, what do? You go to practice, and it just becomes a routine. And so I think it's very, very easy for like prep athletes to stay consistent.
And guess what else happens? When you're hanging out with other people who work out, when you have a spare,
yeah.
And I don't know if that's a term down here. So in high school, like when I was in high school, Joe, we had one period a day where we had a spare. We had nothing to do, independent study time. Guess what kids would do? They would go to the school weight room. And weight rooms today in high schools look like a lifetime. Like they're unreal with what they have. And so
yeah, my school, it was like a closet that just had a couple of throwaway machines in it,
Yeah, these schools are unreal. Like my kid's high school has a better gym than I do, and I run a professional gym, right? I'm exaggerating a bit. My gym's pretty awesome, but it's a really good place to work out. I would not do without working at his high school. But the point is, you're right. It's easy to stay consistent because you're just doing it every day. And if you're not doing it every day, your form of play is probably more active. Like your idea of fun is you're a nerd, so you're playing Dungeons and Dragons on Friday. And no offense, but like an adult's form of entertainment is to go to Buffalo Wild Wings and have a couple of beer while they watch fantasy.
And that kind of goes back to my point too, where it's so much easier to stay consistent and active when you're young, and it isn't just because you're young. It's just that's kind of how life is set up.
What you do? Watching these kids at the pool, they're up 3 or 4 or 5 flights of stairs. They're jumping off of a diving board that's 40 feet in the air or whatever. They're down, they're swimming, they're back up the stairs. They'll do this 50 times in an afternoon. Their play is active. They're running, they're moving, they're walking. My kid's planning something. He wants to go to the state fair on Friday night. And they're probably going to walk 10 to 15,000 steps over the course of 3 hours, and they're going to get their work in. Like you can do that walking around and moving. An adult is figuring out the most lazy way possible to do it.
Even think of the term, right? Like if you think of a youth entertainment, you're thinking of like going to Sky Zone. You're thinking of like, going roller skating or bowling or
going to a park. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. If you think of adult entertainment, it's a very, very different image that pops into your head, and it's not super active.
Yep. That's it. Like, trying to think. I was going to say something, but I'm not going to because we're going to get canceled.
I know there's a joke in it. I was leaving it out there, but like,
you guys
it also makes the point of like.
Actually, Joe, there's a literary term called the white space. We say it like it's when you read a book. And it's like that white that's around the margins. Like, what do you fill the blanks in with? You know what we're talking about. But no, adult entertainment, Joe, is like drinking and pickleball at most. For the most part, it's watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's watching the NBA playoffs. It's watching 9 hours of football on a Sunday without moving from a couch.
I wasn't even thinking sports, but if you say adult participation in sports, it's at a sports bar, eating chicken wings, drinking beer, and watching other people play. Yep.
So let's get back to the thing. The key is to just be consistent. Like if you just showed up every single day and did 30 minutes of stuff, and I'm saying 30 minutes, it could be 45 minutes of stuff, it would be remarkable how much you would change. I had a woman lose 80 pounds, talked about her before on the podcast, in 6 months, literally just walking, Joe. Just walking more. Like literally that's all it takes, but there's a whole bunch of people that are at home right now that have convinced themselves that if they don't have TRT, if they don't have HRT, if they don't have the secret program, if they don't have special equipment, if they don't have the right genetics, if they don't have this, they don't have that, that they'll never be fit. And the reality is, all they would have to do is just show up, just clock in for 30 minutes a day and put in a little bit of effort. And their lives
you want to know the secret?
Dramatically change.
Do you want to know the secret of Hollywood trainers everywhere that they don't just give away for free?
Tell me.
Show up. Just
That's
show
it.
up. If you're an actor getting ready for a role, guess what? You're committed. So you're meeting your trainer every day, right? Like, it's the consistency that works. Does having a good training program help? Sure. When you're at a certain level, and especially for certain goals, you need certain things. Sure. If you've never worked out before, like you said, just start. Just start. Continue to show up. And in 6 months, even without a program, you could do literally something different. You could do Zumba on a Monday. You could do Pilates on a Tuesday. You could weight train on a Wednesday. You could pick different things. You could just pull stuff out of a hat for 6 months. You would lose weight. You would get in better shape. Your life would improve.
Here's the difference between, I think, me and normal people. When they're talking about Jake Gyllenhaal and how fit he was for the movie Southpaw, they said this man trained every day like a boxer for 6 months. Okay? They're talking about how good he looked in Roadhouse. Yeah, he trained like an MMA fighter. Every day he showed up for 8 months or 12 months, whatever the number was. 99% of the population are like, I wonder what his chest workout was. I wonder what program he was on. You know what the only thing I heard was? Dude showed up every single day for 6 or 12 months. No wonder he looks like that. Like, it's literally that simple. You missed the whole point. He just showed up every day and trained like an athlete. Like, it's literally that simple. But you've been convinced that it's not that simple.
The whole industry feeds that, right? Like, I remember watching Wolverine when Hugh Jackman was just like shredded out of his gourd. And it was like, God, I'm really interested. Like what was his protocol? Like, what was his training split? How did he do this? And you go to, your favorite muscle magazine and they're like, this is the Wolverine official workout. And it's like nothing like what he actually did. It was just some cheap boilerplate workout that they pulled together, slapped his picture and name on the article. And that it just, again, feeds this idea that there is a particular way that you have to do things. And it's really just like the dude barely ate. He was eating nothing but protein for months and then just, lifting weights.
Here, I got something for you. Jason Statham, 55 years old, shirt off. If you're on a different platform, you can't see the video. Google Jason's literally, Statham. It's in the little bar here. Jason Statham, shirt off. And look at this man. Does this physique say to you, Joe, and I bring this guy up a lot because he's got tremendous work ethic, and I know that for a fact. When you see him with his shirt off, do you think, man, he must have some secret program I don't know about? Or, man, that guy must show up at the gym every single day. That guy
I'm thinking like that dude hasn't eaten a carbohydrate in 6 months.
But again, guess what that is? That's being consistent with your diet. So here's my deal with strength training, with diet, with health. The secret you're looking for, the secret that has eluded you, the magic pill you're looking to take is literally just showing up and putting forth a reasonable amount of effort every damn day. And if you can do that for 3 months straight, I'm going to say you're going to see a remarkable change. If you can do it for 6 months straight, you're going to see an even bigger change. You can do it for a year straight. You're going to be a completely different human being. But there's 2 reasons why that's not going to happen. 1, the industry has convinced you that you need to buy their thing. The fitness industry has convinced you that you need TRT and HRT are the hottest things in the world. You know why you're out of shape, Joe? Because you have low T. You know why you're out of shape? Because you didn't get the genetic gift. It has nothing to do with that you haven't worked out in 2 years. It has nothing to do with the fact that you drink 40 gallons of soda a year and eat 200 bags of potato chips and eat 19 pounds of ice cream. It has nothing to do with the fact that your diet is 90% Buffalo Wild Wings and you look like somebody that eats a Buffalo Wild Wings. It has to do with your testosterone, right? Or it's the fact that you don't take enough protein powder. And I'm a big fan of protein powder. I drink protein powder. I take supplements. I'm very serious about my fitness. But let's be honest, Joe, this is like 1% to 2% of the program, maybe 5% of the program. It's not the entire program. If somebody took all my supplements away, I'm pretty sure I would still manage to find some way to consume the right food to be fit. Now, would I be operating at the highest level in the world? Maybe not, but I would be way better than a lot of other people out there, right? Yeah. So then it's the fact that you don't have equipment. But if you go Google bar stars in Harlem and watch these people that just work out on playgrounds and how shredded they are, like Hannibal Fort King, I think his name is on Instagram.
Oh, that video is legendary.
Like, okay, these are guys working out on playgrounds. You clearly don't need a lot of equipment, but they've convinced you that this is the case. That's problem number one. Yeah. Problem number two is you think because you showed up 2 days last week that you're being consistent. That's what you're calling hard work. If you show up, there's two ways to phrase this, Joe, and I'm going to grab my calculator for some math because you know how Bobby Maximus loves his math. So, you're padding. How many times have you heard this? I'm doing amazing. I showed up 3 days last week. Great. There's two ways to word that. Yes, you showed up 3 days. That's better than 2. It's better than 1. It's better than 0. You did amazing. Congratulations. You're crushing it. Or there's 7 days in a week. So 3 divided by 7 times 100. The other way to word it is, I can't get the blur right.
Focus. 42.
The other way to word it is you showed up 42% of the time.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. I showed up 42% of the time for myself last week. Oh, so what you're saying is your effort was trash.
Yeah.
Those are the same thing. 3 days a week is 42% of the time. You literally can't even show up for yourself halfway.
I had this thought. The other day, and I'm going to kind of pick on you about it. I was thinking, like, how would you impress somebody who's the highest in their game? So let's say you're a UFC fighter. You've been in the ring. You've won submission of the night. You've been on the Ultimate Fighter twice. What would impress you? Like, if I started doing jiu-jitsu, like, what could I say that would get you excited to have a conversation with me? Right? It's like, I don't have to get into the UFC. I'm never going to be that good. Not at 45 years old with not a lot of jiu-jitsu experience, not a lot of experience in the ring. That, like, I'm not going to be like, hey, Bobby, I'm the heavyweight champion of the world. Like, that would impress you. But what if I came in and I was like, hey, Bobby, I started doing jiu-jitsu a few months ago and I freaking love it. And I've been showing up 3 times a week and I feel like I'm learning so much and I want to go to a tournament. What do you think? Like, I feel like you would be more excited for me to be like, yeah, you should. And then maybe up your training. And then, like, what else are you doing? Like, now we can get into a conversation.
One caveat. And I actually had this talk with a guy last week. I was on his podcast, Joe. You don't love it that much showing up 3 days a week.
True. But so now we're getting somewhere, right? Okay. If you're an NFL running back, am I going to impress you if I show up and say, yeah, I lift weights 3 times a week? Like, okay, great. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be a little bit more like in the vein. You got to be a little bit more of like, I'm passionate about this. Like, hey, I started training. I saw you running, the football, and it was amazing, and it inspired me to start running. And here I am 2 years later, and I'm running every day. I've been hitting the gym 6 days a week, and look at this physique. And then you're like, well, goddamn, I'm glad I could be a part of that.
So that's what would impress me. So it wouldn't be, you don't have to go to the UFC, Joe. That ship's probably sailed. You don't.
They could call any day now, you know?
Yep. You don't have to win a World Master Taekwondo title. You don't have to win a World Master Jiu-Jitsu title. You don't have to. None of that would impress me, right? Because there's ways to rig that game to a degree. Mm-hmm. What would impress me is if you said, I've fallen in love with jiu-jitsu I am passionate about it. I train 6 days a week. I show up to 8 classes a week. I show up to 7 classes a week. That would excite me so much because I would be like, here's a guy that gets it. And I would look you in the eye and I would say, Joe, if you continue this, if you keep up this pace in a year, you're going to be real good. In 2 years, you're going to be stellar. In 3 years, man, like, you can give me a go. Like, you're going to be pretty damn, like, I would be excited for that. But here's how it works the other way. And this really happened. A guy shows up at my gym and I said, why did you want to come work out with me? And he said, I love working out. It's my whole life. I can't believe I'm here, blah, 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 blah. And I said, it doesn't look like you love it. And his jaw dropped. He said, what do you mean? I said, listen, man, I really like you. I want you to fulfill your potential. I want you to be great. If you really love this, if you've really been training for a year, why do you look like this? And he didn't have an answer. And I said, honestly, how much are you training? And he said, 2 to 3 days a week. And I said, but you're telling me you love it. You're telling me it's your greatest passion. You're telling me it's all you think about. You're telling me you're really excited to show up at my gym and you planned your vacation around this and blah, 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 blah. These two things don't go together because if you're really passionate about it, if you really love it, if it's your life's work, if it's whatever other descriptors you're going to use, that sounds to me like something you do every single day. You see, Joe, I've met people who love gardening. They're out there tending to their garden every
I've seen those people.
Single day. And in fact, if they have to go on vacation for a week, it causes them great stress to have to leave and have somebody else take care of their garden. I've had people who love their pets and they own 4 dogs and they take them to the dog park every single day. And they wake up in the morning and the first thing they think about is how they're going to get to take their dogs to the dog park and play that day. I've seen people that love swimming and they go swimming every single day. It's that old man that's swimming laps at the rec center every single morning at 6 a.m. because that's the first thing he's got on his mind. They love it. You showing up 3 days a week, kind of because you have to, you don't love it.
You're just checking the box 3 days a week.
Let's not use the term passion. That's not what that is, Joe.
Yeah.
So now let me take a step further. You play Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yep.
I'm going to tell you right now, Joe, I love Dungeons and Dragons. It's my favorite game. I am so passionate about it, Joe. Ask me like 3 questions that would prove that to be true or not true.
When was the last time you played a game?
Oh, man. 3 months ago. Okay, Bobby, so you love it? Like, how many guides do you own? How many like campaigns or whatever they're called?
Yeah, what's your favorite campaign? Who tell me about your character. Who are you playing now?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of between characters. What? Listen. Now, it goes the same way. I love my Magic the Gathering, right? So you're like, Bobby, do you love Magic the Gathering? And I'm like, yes. And you're like, well, how many decks do you have? I'm like, well, I have 24 dedicated commander decks that live intact. I have 4 60-card decks, and I have 39 complete sets. You're like, oh, okay, this dude loves it. Oh, and by the way, I categorize my cards online on Moxfield, and so that I can share it with. Okay, you kind of love it. If I say, Joe, do you love Magic the Gathering? Like, oh my God, that's my favorite game. I'm like, how many decks do you have? I'm like, I have 1 deck. You don't love it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, it just doesn't. It's the same thing when you tell me I am the biggest Green Bay Packers fan on the planet. Okay, Joe, name 3 players. Jordan Love.
Who's that guy? You know, the one.
Who's your coach? You don't love them. I love the Kansas City Chiefs. I've been a fan for years. Who plays for them? Taylor Swift's boyfriend and
you know that guy with like the hair. Yeah, I like that guy a lot.
My thing is you don't love it that much, Joe. Like you're not a fan.
I think that's fair. Here's the next question then, though, because I want to tie this back to the purpose of this podcast, which is fitness. Do you have to be in love with fitness for it to work?
No, but it makes it a lot easier. I'll tell you that.
I would think if you can love it for 20 minutes a day, then do that. If you can love it for an hour a day, that's better, right? But like if you can just find something that you enjoy doing that's physical for as little as 20 minutes a day, you can make a massive change. And I think it's important to recognize it's just opening a door, because if you love it for 20 minutes, you're going to love it even more for 30.
So a couple things here. One, if you love it, it's way easier. It's why the number one thing I say, what's the most important thing to give people when they show up at your gym, and it's to give them a good time. If you enjoy yourself, if you like it, if you laugh, if it's your social group, you will show up more. So it does make it easier, but it's not like a fundamental prerequisite, because you can hate it and still get a lot of work done.
The military is a perfect example of that, right? Yep. Like suffering through boot camp still gets people results. And I think that's why boot camps sell, right? Like boot camp fitness things sell because people are convinced that they work.
And you can show up and see results. That said, there's a lot of freedom in this game, like you said. You don't have to. If you hate kettlebells, stop playing with kettlebells. If you hate barbells, stop lifting with barbells. If you hate body weight, stop doing body weight. You can choose from swimming, hiking, biking, running, Pilates, weights, wrestling, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, paddleball, not paddleball, pickleball. Find something that you love and figure it out and show up.
I'm a perfect example, because 45 years old, and what sport did I discover just in this last year that I love? It's mountain biking. I've been Irish dancing for 5 years now, Bobby. Can you believe it? Right. Like, geez, it feels like, oh my God. But I started mountain biking. I bought a fat tire bike, and I'm pissed right now because it's constantly raining and I can't get out to hit my favorite trails.
Okay. So back away from biking, because I hate biking. How many? And I'm just stuck on this because I got to get this thought out. And the reason I want to pick on Irish dance is because something like nobody does, right? It's like a weird, like what we talk river dancing, right? Yeah. But it's not something that's traditional. Like when you meet somebody that's in Irish dance, it's a rare thing. You're my only friend that does it. I have other friends that mountain bike. So my question to you is, it seems like something that's not exercise. It seems like something that's kind of nerdy. It seems like something not a lot of people do. But let's break it down. How many steps do you do on a Wednesday night practice? How many steps do you take?
I mean, 10,000 just in a 2-hour practice. We're burning 700 to 1,400 calories for sure.
Okay. So my guess is your little Fitbit, your Whoop strap, your Apple Watch, whatever, it's going bananas when you're in class, right?
Yep.
Start Irish dancing. Like if the thought of walking for 10,000 steps kills you, go dance and have some fun. How many people have I heard? And this has happened. Like I have heard this from way too many people in my life. I went out dancing with my girlfriends all night and I am so sore. I am like, what the Wait. You're sore from going to a bar and dancing? And this is why, Joe, there's a big rise in like pole dancing classes, hip hop dancing classes, like whatever these things are, like silks, whatever. You can get a tremendous amount of work. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're at home and you're on the couch and you came across this podcast and you're like, Bobby and Joe, these guys are liars. I'm not going to look good from dancing. I get it.
It's an entry drug, I'm telling you.
You might not look like Jason Statham or The Rock, but listen to me and listen closely. You're 300 pounds overweight. You're 90 pounds overweight. You're 120 pounds overweight. You can't see your private parts when you go to the bathroom. You get winded walking up a flight of stairs. You're not too cool. Trust me, you're not too good to go dance or walk.
Yeah.
And that's what it really is, Joe. You said earlier, it's a point I'd kind of like to close this off with, but you said something earlier about how everyone thinks they know better. Well, if you know better, why don't you look like you know better?
Yeah, why don't you do better? Yeah.
You look like a person who doesn't look like you know better, and that's the number one criteria, right? And it's that person, it's that guy who says, jiu-jitsu wouldn't work on me. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't know my mentality. Okay. Actually, I'll show you a really good one here, Joe. You're going to love this.
It's always that thing of like, if I just focused, I could look like you, but I got too much going. It's always an excuse.
This is the delusion of the male. I meant to send this to you, but I want to play you this clip.
All right.
Tell me if you can hear this, because I want to make sure the audience hears this too. This is a guy being interviewed about what UFC fighter he thinks he could beat.
Like one UFC fighter you think can beat up if you had a full camp to prepare? All right, so, and I'm being honest here, it is 100% Alex Pereira, because that guy is, and if anyone knows how to wrestle against him, I'm a collegiate wrestler. If anyone knows how to wrestle against him, it's over. I understand he can knock you out with any punches, but if you look at people that try to take him down, people take him down with ease because he doesn't know anything about wrestling, and he won't be the champ much longer at 205 if he gets a wrestler in there.
How much does that guy weigh? 205? I don't think he can make weight.
This is a dude, just to be clear, Joe, did you hear all that, by the way?
Yeah, clearly.
Hey, this is a guy who's about 50 pounds overweight that hasn't wrestled in 10 years. And he was asked to pick a UFC fighter that he thinks he could beat in a fight. And he literally picked the light heavyweight champion of the world, the best 205-pound fighter on the planet of Earth, a guy, Joe, that would starch me in under 30 seconds. And this is the guy you think you can beat, and that is just the epitome of the male delusion.
Yes.
That is the epitome of what we're talking about. The guy who's on the couch, who's 80 pounds overweight, whose blood pressure is out of control, whose diet consists of Doritos, beer, and Buffalo Wild Wings, and he really thinks, Joe, that you're working out the wrong way, that walking can't work, that this CrossFit stuff, I would dominate that if I wanted to. No, you wouldn't.
No,
it's the
not
same
at all.
guy who thinks he can play in the NBA, who watches Jordan Love, your guy, throw a football and thinks that if he got his chance, he could, I would have made that throw. No, you wouldn't have. No, but that's it, Joe. That guy, he's the epitome of this.
Yeah, well, it's that whole knowledge without action. They think they know everything, but they take no action. It's nothing. Knowledge without action is zero.
This guy, like, bro, you show up for an entire fight camp. You look like you haven't shown up to the gym in 3 years.
Yeah.
You're just going to jump into a fight camp? So here's the point, guys. You want to get stronger? Show up every day. You want to lose body fat? Show up every day. You want to be better at pickleball? Play pickleball every day. You want to be healthier. You want to have better blood pressure. You want to have better LDL. You want to have better HDL. You want to have a better immune system. How about you just eat healthy every day? Like, it's really not that difficult. And if you can do that for 90 days straight, that's my challenge to you to close the podcast. If you can show up for 90 days straight, you can just show up and do some form of physical activity. You can do whatever you want. You can go to a Ninja Warrior park. You can eat healthy for 90 days straight. You can have better sleep habits for 90 days straight. Then you can come back and we can have that talk about what program you should be on.
Yep.
And like, this is why I wanted to rant about this, because like we go on about this all the time. It's what I post. And someone's like, what do you, so I post this list, Joe. I'm going to read it to you here. I posted it today. You ready?
Yep.
And I know you've seen this. Starting today for the next 4 weeks, No chips, no soda or juice, no bread, no alcohol, more water, workout daily, more sleep, 10,000 steps daily, no processed sugar, and more steak.
Can't work.
You know what I get? Well, how am I supposed to live without juice?
Uh-huh.
Bread's not
Or
a problem.
soda's not that bad. What are you talking about? No
I can't
chips.
sleep
Come
that
on.
much.
Moderation.
Soda's not. Whoa.
That sounds like a sucky life.
This is where we are. You've never had fun in your life.
Listen, I want to just tag this little pro tip to the end of your 90-day challenge here, because going back to what we were talking about with Irish dance, I got into it, was having fun with it, but think about what it takes to make a transformation, the level of dedication, the ability to stick to it day after day after day. Now, if you're doing something like dance, or like you said, you want to go to a Ninja Warrior club, how much easier is it going to be to stay focused, losing weight, when you feel how your weight is holding you back from doing more of what you love? You can't even do a pull-up. Every day you're getting hammered over the head with that. It is a lot easier to say, you know what, I got to stick to this diet because I have something I'm working towards. There's something I want to be good at. There's something I want to do more of, and I have to stay focused. I have to stay committed in order to get to that next point. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because guess what happens after 90 days? You have lost 10 or 15 pounds, and suddenly things that were impossible are very possible.
Yes. And Joe, you brought up a point. You keep getting me to talk. This is why I love you. All right. This is why, what did I call you today? You're my squire.
The squire.
It's even a more diminutive term than peasant. Listen, squire, fetch me my camera. Anyway, listen, here's the deal. I'm laughing now. But, okay, no chips, no soda, more water, workout every day, no bread, more sleep, 10,000 steps daily, great. You said something about, well, what? That sounds like no fun. That sounds boring. Joe, you're right.
To be fair, heart attacks are never boring.
Okay, I do live. I was going to go somewhere else with this. I do live a boring life. You're right. I have never had fun. Because this is, when I say that list, and I want to read this again: no chips, no soda, no bread, no alcohol, more water, workout daily, more sleep, 10,000 steps daily, no processed sugar, more steak. Bobby Maximus, you don't have fun. You have no life. You know what's fun, Joe? Standing in the middle of an octagon getting interviewed by Joe Rogan. And the memories that gives me, oh yeah, that's a lot of fun. Getting to face off in front of Dana White. I'm showing this stuff on my phone right now. That's a lot of fun. My kid opening up the UFC encyclopedia and seeing a little blurb about his dad. That's fun. Getting your hands raised in the octagon and getting an epic intro by the legendary Bruce Buffer. That's fun. Now, maybe that's not for you. Maybe that's not your life. You're probably not going to fight in the UFC. You're not going to be LeBron James in the NBA and win an NBA championship, because that sounds like fun too. But you know what else is fun that you might experience? When someone comes up to you at the grocery store and says, "Are you a bodybuilder?" When someone comes up to you at the grocery store and says, "Wow, you look amazing. Can I ask you what your workout program is?" When you go to your high school reunion and the people that you went to high school with don't recognize you or marvel at how good you look.
Bring it back to where we started the podcast. Going to the pool, taking your shirt off, and getting that look from that gal. That's pretty fun.
That is a lot of fun. Getting hit on is fun. Now, acting on it, that's a different story. If you're married, you're in a relationship, whatever. I'm not saying that.
Still fun.
But getting a compliment is fun. Like, I hate to tell you, but that makes it worth all the hard work. I got a guy that lost 60 pounds in the last year, and he sees people he hasn't seen and say, "Wow, you look amazing." He told me that makes it worth every drop of sweat, every drop of blood, every tear cried.
What did that gal say about me in the team chat on the ladder app? She thought I was 25. That's pretty fun. I must be doing something right.
To hear that. That makes me want to go work out more. Do you know what I mean? And people love compliments. So like, this is what you get. This is what you get in these excuses, because people just don't want to show up every day. And that's all they did. You and I would be out of work, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reality. Like, I'm so sick and tired of coming on here and telling people what they need to do, and they don't listen. Like, we just need to come up with some gimmick, some scam, some routine. I don't want to call anyone particular out. We can call it something cool, like a combination of a V-taper and being shredded. And then we'll just sell, and we'll be rich, and we'll go about our way.
There you go. I love it.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Maximus Podcast. Not the Maximus Podcast. What am I talking about? We change the name. The Be Real Podcast. All right. I said that. You know why that happened? Because I called you my squire, and I went right back to the Maximus Podcast.
Right back to it. Yeah.
But you know. All right. And if you don't know what a squire is, watch Fallout on Amazon Prime. It's tremendous. You understand the role Joe plays in my life. Here's the deal. Okay.
Dude, when we go to New York, I'm carrying your bag in. I'm going to be like, I'll kneel down. You could like kick me over.
I'm gonna actually make us custom ladder bags, and my bag is going to say Lord Maximus, and yours is going to say Squire Cebula. I'm gonna get you a special outfit, and you'll be like carrying my bag, and you'll go to say something, and I'm gonna point at you in front of like all our ladder workers, and I'm like, no eye contact, Joe. Sorry, Lord Maximus. It'll be like
yes,
the whole
sir.
thing.
Sorry, sir.
They'll be like, what? Okay. Here's the deal. Thank you for coming to the Be Real Podcast. You got some life lessons. You got some humor. You got some trash talk. Like, I think we did a good job entertaining you. Hopefully you had a good laugh.
So.
From this, we have a lot of fun doing it. Here's how you can thank us. Share this episode. That's all you got to do. Just share the episode. That's all we ask. So share it with somebody that needs it. You know what actually to do? Send them an email. Send them a text and say, you know what? You are one fat mother. You know what? You need to be more consistent. Check out this podcast. There you go. That's it.